Welcome to your first voice lesson. If you're new here, I'm Camille with 30 Day Singer. I'm a singer and voice teacher, and I love working with beginners. Have a lot of beginner experience under my belt. So I'm going to walk you through how a first voice lesson typically goes. Let me give you just a quick overview of what we're going to cover today, and we're going to move fast. So first thing to check on with a new student is that we're matching pitch. And since we are meeting virtually right now, I'll give you some tools to work on matching pitch if that's something that you currently are struggling to do. Then we'll talk about how to find your range. We'll go over the basics of posture and breathing. We'll talk about registers of the voice because that's something you've got to know pretty much from day one. You start talking about chest voice, head voice, and mixed coordination. We'll talk about some vocal exercises, especially beginner-friendly ones. And lastly, we'll talk about identifying your strengths and weaknesses as a singer. And, within a voice lesson, I don't want to say we're more focused on the weaknesses, but that is why you go to a voice teacher, is to help you correct the weaknesses. So anyways, let's jump right in. Talking about matching pitch. What I mean by matching pitch is if I play a pitch on the piano or if I sing a pitch, are you able to sing that exact pitch? So for example, if you are a person who already has some apps downloaded, like maybe a chromatic tuning app, you could bring that up. But if you don't have that downloaded, that's okay. Just open up tuner.ninja. I'm typing it in as well, tuner.ninja. Probably you'll get something popping up saying, allow microphone access. And the way to do this is to have me in your headphones so that Tuner Ninja isn't picking up my pitch, but it's only picking up yours. So if you have headphones handy, grab headphones. I can see on my screen that Tuner Ninja is already trying to analyze my voice, my speaking voice, because that's what a chromatic tuner does. So that is one option for you. Two other options that I like. One is called Learn to Sing Gamified. It used to be called Sing Sharp. So if you type in Sing Sharp, it will come up. The icon looks like that. And then the other one is right next to it. It's Perfect Pitch. Learn to Sing, I think, is also in the title. Both of these have chromatic tuners built in. I'm going to be using Perfect Pitch because it has this function. Again, not great quality showing you on the camera. But it has this function where I can play a pitch right here. And then try to match that pitch. And you can see that little thing is moving around analyzing my pitch. So again, I'll play a pitch. Da! And you can see if I'm way down here, da, that I'm not hitting that pitch. Da, now I am. Okay, so that's a really cool tool. Again, that was Perfect Pitch is the name of that app. And I like it for that reason. That's the only app I've found that allows you to play a pitch and then have your pitch analyzed right away. But you don't need an app to be able to do this. You can also just use tuner.ninja and you can get reference pitches from, let me give you the link in the chat. This is harpkit.com/online tuner. Ever Crazy is saying they have two singing apps, Sing Sharp and Ryaz. I've never heard of that one. Okay, so friends, we're going to HarpKit and then to Tuner Ninja. So this is if we're not using an app. If you do not have space on your phone to download an app, all good. Also, there'll be some variance between iPhone and Android. So we're all on the same page. This is how you can practice matching pitch. Get a reference pitch from HarpKit. For example, let's click G3 on the keyboard. Hear that really quietly. I'll play it on my keyboard as well. A little bit louder. Okay, and now I'm going to try to match that pitch. I'm seeing if I am matching the pitch by checking with Tuner Ninja. So I play the pitch G3. I have to remember both the pitch letter name and the octave number. There's my reference pitch again. And then I attempt to sing it. And if I'm matching it, I will see G3 in green on Tuner Ninja. Okay? If you are singing the correct pitch letter name, but not the correct octave number. So let me give an example. If I'm going for D4, okay, that's a D4. I'm singing a D4. But if you're a low-voiced singer, you might be down here. I can't sing that low. So you might be trying to sing that and singing that. It's a version of correct. It's the correct pitch letter name. It's just not the correct octave number. So both are important. We want to start training our ears so that we're picking up what pitch it is and also how high or low. It's a very, very common issue that I run into with some beginning singers, especially male singers. They're used to singing down low in their chest voice, speaking voice range. And so when I give them a pitch to sing, even one that is in their chest voice, speaking voice range, they'll often drop down an octave. So I'll give them, for example, this pitch. That's A3. Try to sing that. And a lot of beginning male students will often go for this one, A2. So just start to be aware of that. That's the importance of using a chromatic tuner, especially if you don't have a teacher that you're working with regularly. You want to get that feedback. And thankfully, we have technology for feedback. Okay, so if matching pitch is a huge, huge issue for you, I would stay on this step for a while. I would practice matching pitch, an easy range to practice matching pitch. For most male singers, starting at C3, that's that pitch. Most of you guys should be able to sing that pretty much right away, easy peasy. It's really comfortable chest voice for most guys. So start at C3 and then walk around. C sharp, D, D sharp, continue on up the scale. For higher voice singers like me or female singers, you could start around C4. So that's one octave higher. Okay, and then you can walk down from there or walk up from there. But that's a good starting pitch that everyone should be able to find. All right, so if that's something that was like way over your head, it's a really important skill to spend time on and focus on. Reason being, it's going to be very difficult to make progress if we are struggling to match pitch. We've got bigger goals, but matching pitch is number one. So if that's where you're at, that's where you're at. And it's really kind of a cool goal to be working toward because it's very measurable progress as well. You can visualize with this chromatic tuner how far you are from the pitch. Another tip if you are struggling with this is to pause, take a second to just listen to the pitch in your head. The next step to this is basically just singing in your head, and the fancy singer term for that is audiating or audiation. So how this would go is I get a pitch, I ask myself how low or high do I think that's going to be in my voice. I know that's going to be low for me, so I'm going to think low chest voice. And some singers aren't there yet. They hear a pitch and they have no idea how it's going to sound and feel in their voice. So again, that's why we use the chromatic tuner. Let's say you're going for this note and you think it's up here. Correct pitch letter name, not correct octave number. So then I would need to change the way I'm thinking about that note and learn, okay, that's low for me. And then I also know that the surrounding pitches are going to feel similar. So that's why I say start at any pitch really, but you could start low voices at C3, higher voices at C4, and then just walk gradually up and down. It will be more of a challenge for you if you're jumping all the way around the keyboard, but that could be a next step if you want something more advanced. So let's assume that you are matching pitch well. Then next step will be doing a bit of a diagnostic scale. Most voice teachers choose something very, very simple, like a 5-tone scale just on an open ah, and we'll hear you sing. Usually I'd say it'd start around here. This might be a little bit low for some male singers. Tenors might be a little bit low for you. But we would start on, let's say, this A, either A3 or A2. And we'll walk up and down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, but on an open ah. So sounds like ah. So that's what we'll do first. We'll just walk up. We won't walk down yet. Okay. I think I'm changing my mind. I think we're gonna leave that for a little bit later. Let's find your range first. Okay, so let's start on that note though. This A3, and we're gonna walk down gradually, write down the pitch when you find your lowest note. Okay, everyone should be able to sing an A3. That's why I'm starting with it. And remember, guy singers, this is higher chest voice for you. It sounds low in my voice because it is low for my range, but it's not low for you. So A3, we're all singing this together. Okay, I'm gonna throw out pitch letter names as I go and octave numbers. And when you tap out, write that down because that is your lowest comfortable note today. Okay. That's A3, A flat 3, G3, F sharp 3, F3, E3. I'm gonna tap out pretty soon. E. This is E flat 3. D3. So I would have tapped out because I don't consider those usable pitches. I would probably say this E3 is my lowest usable pitch. So if I was the student here, I would write that down. Let's keep going though. E flat 3, D3, C sharp 3, C3, B2, B flat 2, A2, A flat 2, G2, F sharp 2, F2, E2, E flat 2, D2, C sharp 2, last one, C2. My keyboard doesn't go lower than that, and I don't know very many voices that go lower than that, at least with clean tone. So whatever your lowest pitch was, write it down, remember it. Now we're gonna go in the opposite direction. Behind the curve, I can't keep going. I can't. That's where the keyboard ends for me today, because I have my small keyboard. Okay, so let's start now at, let's start at G3 together. Remember, low voices or heavy voices, this is going to feel different in your voice than it sounds like in mine. So this is a low pitch for me, but it might be a high pitch for you. Okay? Everyone together on G3. Walking up again, I'm going to call out pitch letter names. A flat 3, A3, B flat 3, B3, C4. Notice the octave numbers start over at C. Okay, C4, C sharp 4, D4. By the way, you can sing on any vowel. So ah is fine, but you could change to a different vowel if you want. Okay, this is D4, E flat 4, E4. Right around here with a beginning lower voiced student, very, very beginning, like hasn't started training mixed voice yet, this is probably a problem area. So you might find that you're starting to strain or shout, or maybe you're flipping into head voice. Okay, so this is all stuff that a voice teacher is listening for. I want you to also make note of any noteworthy pitches. So I'm calling out the pitches continuously. Don't just pay attention to what's the lowest and the highest I can sing. Also pay attention to, oh, that's where my voice kind of cracked, or that's where I started feeling shouty, or that's where I flipped into head voice. All of that is useful information. Okay, so here we are at E flat 4, E4, F4, F sharp 4, G4, G sharp 4, A4, B flat 4, B4, new octave, C5, C sharp 5, D5. I would not recommend saying the letters with me. Just go ooh, because that's going to be a lot easier. So this is D5, ooh, E flat 5, ooh, E5, F5, F sharp 5, G5, A flat 5, A5, B flat 5, B5, C6, C sharp 6, D6, E flat 6, E6. Okay, now we are into whistle territory, so I'm going to stop there. So you don't have to share in the chat, but I do want you writing down, what's my lowest comfortable clear pitch today? What's my highest comfortable clear pitch today? And where in there did I notice changes, or where did weird things happen? And I will let you know where I expect weird things to happen for most voices. So for male voices, typically we start running into issues around this like E flat 4 and going into the E, the F sharp, the G. That is prime mixing territory. So for a very beginning singer, I don't expect you to be mixing. What I will encourage you to do, though, is to find your head voice. So especially if you're a beginner who tends to shout and you're just going, and you're getting shouty and jammed up, we're not going to continue down that road. We're going to lighten up and go, woo, woo, and find your head voice placement. Then what we'll do is switch back and forth between head voice and chest voice. Something we might do would be singing on like a cuckoo clock sound. So for if you were in that boat, if you were like shouting and having issues around that E flat, E, F sharp territory, then what we would do is we would start a little bit lower than that. So we'd start maybe at the F3, and I would have you sing on a coo, 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 coo. Okay, but remember, it sounds different for you than it does for me. It's gonna feel like high chest voice if you are a male singer. Okay, and we're using this syllable to flip us into head voice. So see if we can override that tendency to shout by going hoo, hoo, coo, 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 coo. Okay, down the octave, give this a try. See if it helps you make it over that transition area a little bit easier. Ready, go. Coo, 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 coo. Let your voice flip into head voice. Coo, 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 coo. 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 A true oo vowel. Don't go coo, coo, coo. Just to hold on to chest voice. Let it flip. Coo, 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 coo. Coo, 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 coo. Are you seeing this fly? Coo, 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 coo. Coo, 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 coo. Coo, 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 coo. And now we're reaching the territory that most female voices tend to struggle. So our transition into mix or mixed coordination is going to happen around the like A flat, A, B flat, B, that territory around there. So if you were a person who shouted, if you were going, ah, and just got jammed up and then maybe even cracked, then I would use the exact same exercise for you, getting you to flip into your head voice and retrain yourself that high notes don't need to mean shouting. So let's keep going for higher voices on coo coo coo. Coo 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 coo. Last one. Coo 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 coo. Cool. If, on the other hand, you did not shout, you just flipped into head voice. So you went like, ah, and your tendency was to flip or lighten too much, then with you, I would do an exercise that has a really, really bratty sound. Bratty sounds help to bring the vocal folds together without shouting or getting too compressed. So with you, I would use a nay, nay, nay sound. Again, I'm going to go down to where male voices tend to transition. So we're starting on F3. Nay, 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 nay. Make it really bratty. Don't make this beautiful. We're using this brattiness as a tool to get our muscles to do what we want them to do. And what we want them to do is to stay together and not just give up and flip into head voice. Okay, so really, really bratty. Nay, 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 nay. You're starting on F3, remember? Here we go. Nay, 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 nay. Walking up. Nay, 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 nay. And you're letting your jaw drop. Nay, 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 nay. I know it's ugly. Nay, 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 nay. 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 So you could keep going. If that helped you to stay together and start to find what we call your mixed coordination, awesome. That's an exercise for you to use and keep using. Higher voices, if you broke apart around that A flat, A, B flat, around that range, use this exercise as well. So starting here, nay, 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 nay. Nay, 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 nay. Keep going. Nay, 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 nay. Really bratty. Couple more. Nay, 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 nay. Nay, 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 nay. Last one. Nay, 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 nay. Cool. So it's okay if your voice still flips at some point. If you go nay, 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 it's fine. That's a part of the process. The question to ask yourself is, am I getting closer to the goal? Was I able to keep some chest voice intensity for a little bit longer? That's the question. Behind the Curve was saying broke 3 from the end. That is fine. We went up pretty high, so that's good for you to know. And if you're a person who wants to keep track of those things, you can. Anyways, that's basically how we start the lesson, is singing on this open ah, figuring out your range, figuring out how well you're matching pitch. And then what we just did was a little bit of diagnosing what is the main vocal fault. And usually singers fall into one of those two categories. Either we shout and we jam up, get locked up, too much muscle happening, or on the other side of things, we just flip into head voice really, really soon. So if either of those exercises helped you, use them. I also have, because developing this mixed middle coordination is so important, and it's one of the big things that we do in voice lessons. I'm just going to link a video or two for you. Okay, so we've got a little bit more territory to cover. We have not even talked about breathing or posture, and I'm gonna be really quick with it. So when it comes to posture, it's not much more complicated than just standing up straight. There are a couple things to pay attention to specifically. One, your shoulders. Roll those shoulders back and down. A lot of people, myself included, we tend to roll our shoulders forward. And what happens when we roll our shoulders forward, you'll feel your rib cage also collapses. And then you tend to also jut your chin forward. So keep an eye on your shoulders rolled back and down, your arms just chilling at your sides. Your chest and your rib cage can be a little bit more lifted than they might be if you were just sitting, relaxing, okay? So you can imagine, like in yoga, the phrase might be like heart blooming from the center of your chest. You can also just think of lifting that chest, kind of drawing it up. We don't want to be uncomfortable. We just want to be tall and confident. The other thing to pay attention to is this chin. A lot of beginning singers tend to kind of jut their chin forward. That brings us out of alignment, and usually causes more muscle tension in our throat than we want. So keep an eye on that chin. It's always a good idea to be dropping the jaw and letting the chin and the jaw relax rather than bringing it forward or bringing it up for high notes. And that's what a lot of beginning singers do, is we go, ah, and that typically doesn't help us. So that's all I've got for posture. We don't need to make it that complicated. A cue that I'll give a lot of my students is, imagine there's a string drawing the very top of your skull into the ceiling, and feel how that makes you lift a little bit and feel some space in your spine. That's a good feeling. Breathing. Again, we're going to keep it very simple. What we want to happen when we breathe is our lower body to expand. What we don't like so much is when our upper body lifts. Because look what happens. All of these muscles engage, and I want my throat to be relaxed. I do not want all of this going on. So instead of taking a breath where my chest rises and falls, I'm going to keep that chest tall and lifted, and I'm going to breathe, imagining that there's a balloon in my belly that I'm filling up. Okay, I know you can't see my belly right now. I have a keyboard on my lap, but oh man, this is hard to do. Your chest, keep it where it is. Let your belly move. You'll also feel naturally that your rib cage is going to expand and contract, expand and contract. So just feel that motion. It's happening naturally. Your rib cage expands when you breathe, so you don't have to, make it expand. Just let it expand, feel it expand. Feel your belly expand. Feel it contract. Okay, so the difference between breathing for singing and breathing in normal life, if you're really relaxed, if you're just like laying in your bed, you're probably breathing this way. If you're doing yoga or you're meditating, you're probably breathing this way. The big difference is then in how we use the exhale and how we control the exhale. So people might call this breath control or breath support. That's the big difference. Breathing, inhaling for singing, as long as you're not going, as long as you're using, letting your belly relax and expand to take in that breath, then you're in good shape. We don't need to take in a ton of breath because usually we can't use that breath. I'm not going to go and take in all this air because I just don't need that much air. So using the breath, that's where our belly muscles come into play and the muscles in between your rib cage. So we're gonna try this on a hiss first. Place your hands on your ribs. We're gonna inhale, feel the ribs expand, feel the belly expand. And then we're gonna exhale on a hiss. And your goal as we exhale is to control this flow of air so that it's steady and consistent. We're not going and letting all of our air out at once. We're controlling the exhale. And what you're gonna feel happen naturally is your belly muscles have to engage. They're engaging to help retain that air. So that's all we're doing right now is just hissing. We're gonna add sound in just a second. But right now, your only goal is steady, smooth, consistent, small stream of air, and feel what's naturally happening in your belly and the muscles between your ribs to help that happen. Okay, here we go. Inhale. Exhale, hiss. Stay tall as you're hissing, keep going. You might find that you're wanting to collapse like this, but don't collapse, stay up. Whenever you run out of breath, that is totally fine. Okay, so what happened? Most beginning singers that do this exercise, the shoulders start to roll forward, the chest starts to cave in. No good. Stay tall. If you stay tall, your belly is going to have to engage even more. So do that. Now we're going to add on sound. So we're going to go back and forth between a hiss and a hum. We can also do a hiss to a Z. So it'll look like this. I'm going to breathe in again. I'm going to exhale. Back and forth, hiss to Z, hiss to Z. Or if that's tricky for you, you can do hiss to hum, hiss to hum. The reason we're doing this is we're taking the hiss, which it's pretty easy to feel that breath control, and then we're going to a hum where it's a little bit harder to feel that breath control in our belly. Okay, so hiss to Z or hiss to hum. Again, steady, slow stream of air. And then we're feeling naturally our belly muscles turn on. It's very, very gentle engagement. It's not a locking up of the belly. It's very, very subtle. So feel that naturally happening when you hiss and see if you can keep that same feeling, that same engagement when you do the hum or the Z. Inhale. Exhale. Stay tall, stay tall. Go in front of a mirror if you're not sure. Most people start to collapse, so it's a good idea to sing in front of a mirror. Okay, how'd you do? Can feel it's a little bit harder maybe on the Z than the hiss, but hopefully feeling that same action. So let us move on. This time is just flying, you guys. So we've talked about matching pitch and ways to work on it on your own. We found our range. The one thing that I wanted to mention that I didn't before is once you have your range, you can go to this website, karaoke-version.com. You can also go to singingcarrots.com. Both of these resources, Singing Carrots, you can actually input your vocal range and it will give you songs you can sing within that range. Okay, so that's a really cool resource. And then karaoke-version.com, that's the best site that I've found if you want to look for a specific song and then see if it's in your range. So for example, if I go to karaoke-version.com and I type in, let's say I want to sing Levitating by Dua Lipa. So I'm going to type in Levitating. Oh, sorry. Levitating does not, this site does not give me the range, but it does give me the key. That's what I was thinking of. So Singing Carrots then. Singing Carrots is our resource for the actual range of the song. So I can click find songs. I can drag my range around. So let's say my lowest note is B3 and my highest note is B5. I can drag that around and then I can see a bunch of songs that are within my range to sing. And I can put, different genres. They have different options as well on the side. It's like, I want to sing only in the original key. I want it to be easy. I want it to be challenging, blah, de blah. Another way to find songs within your range is a little bit more of a roundabout way, but you can compare your range to that of the common vocal ranges. So the common vocal ranges would be soprano, mezzo-soprano, alto, tenor, baritone, bass. There are more divisions than that, and some teachers don't even like to use them, especially contemporary singing teachers. But you could do that as well, and then see, good beginning songs for altos or good beginning songs for sopranos, stuff like that. There's also, if you haven't been on the blog, on the 30 Day Singer blog, those articles are free to access, and yours truly has written so many good articles for you. So here's the link to that. There's a bunch of articles on there about vocal ranges and easy songs for beginners and how to choose songs and all of this. So I'm just throwing that out there. Use those resources. I think they're very, very helpful. Okay, so done a little bit of posture, done a little bit of breathing. I've mentioned these vocal registers just kind of in passing, but I will give you just a little bit on them. Last week's live lesson was all about vocal registers, so you can revisit that if you didn't see that. But very, very generally and briefly, chest voice or chest register is what we call the lower part of your singing voice. When you're speaking, you're in your chest voice. And we call it chest voice because we can feel this vibration on our chest. Your chest doesn't have anything to do with the way the sound is created. It's what we call sympathetic resonance or sympathetic vibration. So it's not coming from your chest. You can just feel stronger vibration on your chest. Your head voice is the higher part of your voice. If you go woo-hoo, woo-hoo, and it's called head voice because you might feel a little bit more sensation in your head. Woo, woo, woo. And you kind of feel that chest sensation disappear. Those are the two main functions of the voice. Your muscles act a little bit differently when you're in chest voice versus head voice, and the resonance is different as well. The way that the sound travels and where frequencies are boosted. And then you have this third, it's not a register, but it's a function, is mixed coordination or mixed voice. And that's a very, very important skill to develop. It's not a separate range though. It's not a separate register to stumble upon. It's singing with a balance or a blend of both chest and head function. So an example very quickly, I could sing full chest voice, hey, and it's starting to get a little bit shouty, or I can sing, hey, It still sounds strong, hey, but it's not hey. I've lightened the sound a little bit. I've changed the vowel to bring in some more of that head voice quality. So getting you started with mix, again, there's a couple live lessons on mixing and some warm-ups as well. So in a beginning lesson, I would help a student to start developing their mix. And again, previously we used, what did we use? We use the cuckoo clock sound if you're someone who's very, very shouty, and we use that bratty neigh if you're someone who tends to flip into head voice more often. It depends on how severe the problem is. So if you're like really, really light and breathy, then I would spend even more time in chest voice with you. And then if you're really, really shouty, I would spend even more time in head voice. Another exercise for finding mix, especially for singers who tend to shout, is something with a slightly dopey sound. So mum 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 mum. That will also discourage that shout and na 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 if you tend to be locking up. So first voice lesson, we hope to be accessing our chest voice, our head voice, and then maybe starting to find exercises that will help us find that balance or blend of head voice and chest voice. Developing your mix takes some time, but absolutely within a voice lesson, you can at least diagnose, am I more of a shouty singer or more of a light head voice, kind of flip into head voice singer? And based on which you tend to do, that'll tell you what kinds of exercises you should be looking for. So within that short lesson that I linked before about mixing, it uses both bratty and dopey sounds. And remember, bratty sounds, I mean, anybody can use them, but they're especially great for singers who tend to flip into head voice. And then dopey sounds tend to be good for singers who tend to shout. Okay. So that's a little bit about how to identify your strengths and weaknesses, what happens in that middle range. Do you shout or do you flip? If you shout, spend more time in head voice, use narrower vowels in general, use less volume. And then if you flip, more time in chest voice, use wider vowels, and maybe play with a little bit more volume. As for what else to work on, I typically encourage my students to let songs guide their goals. I'm not a huge fan of just setting arbitrary goals. I like to be guided by the songs that I want to sing. So if a song I want to sing has a riff or a run in it, then I know, all right, I want to work on riffs and runs. If a song I'm singing, you get it. Behind the Curve is asking about resonance, and that's a big, big topic. Thankfully, I've got a video for you. The title of it, I think, makes it a little bit hard to find. It's called, what is it called? I think it's called Vocal Tone. I'm finding it. The vocal tone for beginners. Tone and resonance we might use interchangeably. So that live lesson that I just shared in the live chat, watch that. And then there's another live lesson on tone, but I would watch the first one I linked first. Okay, so if you found your vocal range, or if you know which voice type you're most similar to, I'm just getting another article for you from the blog about how to find your range, and then it has some voice types listed. I have recorded the same beginner warm-up for 6 different vocal ranges: soprano, mezzo, alto, tenor, baritone, and bass. So you can check that out. It's here on the channel. Anybody can access them. They're all titled something maybe slightly different, but if you type in alto warm-up 30-day singer, it will pop up. So for example, this one is called Beginner Alto Vocal Exercises Easy 10-Minute Warm-Up. There you go. And that very same warm-up, same exercises exists for all those other voice types. That's a great warm-up to get started, especially if you don't have a voice teacher to give you a warm-up. That's a good one. It's short and sweet. It covers everything that you need to cover: chest voice, head voice, developing mix. And that'll do you well. Okay, questions and answers. Thanks, guys, for being here. I appreciate it. While you get your questions ready, I am going to check the calendar really quickly because I believe that next week our live lesson is on Saturday. So usually next week it's going to be Saturday, August 7th. It's going to be 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time since I'm in California. So hopefully, if you are a person for whom this time is kind of inconvenient, hopefully that time will work better for you because it's morning my time. Hopefully will be evening your time. So no one has to get up at 4 a.m. Okay, it's Q&A time. I'm waiting for your questions. Thank you, Margaret. Ever crazy? Get those questions in. I think you actually maybe did have a question before. So you were sharing that you hit the high note without moving your chin forward. You just let the chin and jaw relax. Perfect. That's exactly what we want. And then 2 things about vocal posture: not to move my shoulders, and 2, to relax my jaw and chin. Yeah, those shoulders can just chill. They don't need to do anything. Behind the curve. Good question. Does resonance add strength to your notes? Yes, it does. So resonance, by the way, for anybody who's like, what? Resonance, you can just swap out the word resonance for vibration. The sound wave that you create at your vocal folds, it's just air that's being chopped up, and that's how we hear sound, is just air. But it vibrates in different spaces within your vocal tract, and where it's vibrating, how big and how that vocal tract is shaped will boost certain frequencies. Okay, I need to move out of this sciencey speak. Let's just, we'll do a little bit of singing to demonstrate this point. So on the same pitch, say ooh for me, and then say ah. Ooh, ah, ooh, ah. I'm not pushing any more air. I'm not trying to sing louder, but that boost, that strength that you hear on the ah, ooh, ah, that is a boost due to resonance. So yes, depending on how, depending on how you're shaping your vowels, that can boost the sound a little bit, or it can make it a little bit lighter and quieter. Lakshita, 10 a.m., 7th of August is the next live. Correct. So no Wednesday next week, 10 a.m. Pacific time next Saturday. Behind the curve, the chin drop is part of that, just as a mechanical tuning kind of thing. So behind the curve, it's jaw dropping. It's creating a little bit more space in the mouth resonator for that sound to vibrate. It's also what tends to happen when people don't let their jaw drop is they start to squeeze. Versus people get really, really tense really fast when they're not letting their jaw drop. I'm having trouble finding or singing with vibrato. I've already watched a live lesson about vibrato and a troubleshooting vibrato video, but I'm still having trouble accessing or singing with vibrato. Any advice? I think all of my best advice is within those videos. But imitation can also be really helpful. For me personally, I learned to sing with vibrato by imitating singers with it. Um, I think, the other piece of advice, and I've probably shared this before, but most singers are accessing vibrato at some point. So it might not be super consistent, but you're going along, you're singing, ah. There was a little vibrato at the end there. Ah. It wasn't really strong or present, but it was there. So that's my other best piece of advice for you, is to notice where your vibrato is naturally occurring, and then see if you can build upon it. So if you're finding it at the end of a phrase, ah, can you repeat it? Ah, ah. Um, that's my best advice for you today. It is a tricky thing. Again, it is the result of other things being in balance. So breath support, chord closure, resonant space, all of the things covered in those live lessons. Abdul, how often should you sing or warm up? My opinion is every day that you're feeling good. So if you're not feeling well, if your voice is tired, fatigued, that's a good day to take some vocal rest. But daily is great. Some people choose to take like a rest day as well, just to not worry about practicing. Behind the curve, you say don't drop your chin. Don't reach your chin forward. The chin is going to drop when you relax your jaw. But don't reach the chin forward. Or reach it up. Oh, all of this muscle tension we don't want. Raphael, can you explain how vocal agility works? I struggle with it, and I'd like to understand what muscles are involved in quickly changing pitches. So Raphael, the main pitch changing muscles would be your cricothyroid muscles or your head voice muscles, because those elongate the vocal folds. They pull down the cartilage, and as a result, your vocal folds stretch out and thin out. So those are the main muscles. Unfortunately, we don't have direct conscious control over any of the muscles within the larynx. So I don't know how much that helps to kind of name the muscles, really. I would say instead I want to give you advice. So the way that you can train for agility, quick pitch changes, easier would be not singing on open vowels, but singing on something closed. So a lip trill, an NG, instead of ah. That little bit of closure can help make things easier. Singing through a straw as well is a really good way to make things easier on your voice, so that it can focus on that stretching out and pitch change without also having to work so hard holding back your air. Ever crazy if you eat fruit and vegetables and drink water, does that help to improve our singing voice? Definitely. Fruit and vegetables, I mean, healthy body, healthy voice, in my opinion. But fruit and vegetables also have water in them, which is hydrating. And water, yes, our voice needs to be hydrated. A dry voice is an easily irritated voice. Your vocal folds are moving so rapidly. They are vibrating so fast, and all of that action, all of that friction, having hydrated vocal folds and thinning out that mucus, it's lubrication for the voice. So yes, be hydrated, 100%. Wynn is saying, I watched bad singing instruction before, and they actually told me to actively move my jaw to produce vibrato. I only discovered that it's wrong recently. It became a habit and kind of hard to fix. Do you have any suggestions? That is a great question. So I will say, there is a thing that some singers do. They move their jaw to like intensify the sound of the vibrato. So ah versus ah ah. It kind of does like intensify the sound, and some people call it the like gospel jaw, because some like gospel singers have been known to do that. So I will say there's a reason for that. However, the actual production of vibrato is happening within the vocal folds. It should not be happening mechanically. With the jaw, that's not vibrato. Nor should it be coming from the belly in any way, kind of like shaking in order to produce that vibrato. So suggestions then. I would say, again, use something semi-closed, because you can let vibrato ring on a hum. And since my mouth is closed for the hum, I'm less tempted to shake the jaw, as opposed to if I'm used to shaking the jaw, I'm going to be tempted to. I would say also, yeah, that's my best piece of advice for that. Ever crazy, can YouTube channels like your channel and other singing channels that focus on vocal health and vocal technique teach you how to sing? Do they really help you to become a good singer? In my opinion, knowledge is power. Smart, informed singers will make progress faster. This is different. It serves a different purpose than, let's say, a private voice lesson. That serves a different purpose. But absolutely, when you learn something and apply it, that's progress. So I can give you some of the resources that I really like, and I've mentioned these before. I listened to a podcast called The Intelligent Vocalist with John Henney. It's one of my favorite vocal resources. He's also here on YouTube as well. Dr. Dan here on YouTube is great. New York Vocal Coaching on YouTube is also great. These are all resources that I've learned something from and applied, and it helped my singing. So I would say that's the component that we need, is the application of what you're learning. Just knowing something isn't going to make us a better singer. We've got to put it into practice as well. Margaret, what if you already said everything and thought every technique possible, but still can't sustain long breaths after months of being in a class? What's the best advice? ENT or voice therapist? Margaret, I guess I would ask, are there any other medical conditions or injuries to be aware of? Anything like that that might be the underlying issue? As for, the students that I've had who struggle the most with breath support have something else going on. I would say that when it comes to sustaining pitches, it's about more than just breath support and posture. It's also about those vocal folds coming together efficiently. So that's the other question I would have is how is our tone? Is it a clean? Is it a nice clean tone, or is it breathy? Those are more questions I have than advice. And then the only other, if it's breathy, then to me, we've found the issue. If my tone is breathy, that means my vocal folds are not coming together to hold back that air efficiently. So if it's like, unscrewing the cap of my water bottle of air. So a great exercise or tool that you can use both for breath support, breath flow, and breathy tone is singing through a straw. And Margaret, I don't know if that's something that you've done, but it's all the rage in the voice technique world. So I've got a video for you that walks you through some exercises to use the straw. It's 8 minutes. Here you go, Margaret. You're welcome, ever crazy. Um, so that and other partially closed exercises like an NG or a lip trill, but a strong lip trill, not a breathy. Any exercise that's partially closed, again, will make it easier on your vocal folds to come together efficiently, hold back that air. Okay. When I'm not exactly sure what you mean by wring the back of their throat, I think you might be referring to the uvula, that little dangly thing in the back that kind of that sort of wiggles. That's again, it's a ripple effect. That is not what's creating vibrato. Vibrato is created within your larynx, this relaxation, this kind of this vibration within the larynx that then ripples out. So it's not the uvula in the back of the throat that is causing vibrato. Okay, this was fun. I hope you enjoyed your very first voice lesson. And I will see you all hopefully next Saturday, August 7th, 10 a.m. Pacific. I can't remember. Oh my gosh. I can't remember what the topic is, but it'll be posted soon. And Behind the Curve, lip trill, alarm clack. That's you can market that. You can take that. I won't take that idea from you. All right. Thank you guys.